Welcome to Mark Loves Cars. Today I'm reviewing this 2023 Corvette C8. For what you can buy these cars for now, the $50,000 range, it's an incredible sports car. I would not pay the $85,000 that this particular one costs new. I don't think it's worth it, but in the $50,000 range, my God, what a bargain. If you're in the market for a C8 or you're on the fence, I highly recommend jumping in. This is the best driving Vette by far ever. So here we are, driving the C8 Corvette. So this is a 2023, but this car, of course, has been out for a few years. I've been waiting a long time to get behind the wheel of one of these. I'm not really a Corvette guy anymore, but this car I felt maybe will change that. I'm not a long front nose, heavy engine up front type of guy. I'm a mid-engine car type of guy, and that's what this is. So I am excited to finally drive this. So the car starts out in touring mode, which has, in my opinion, very loose steering here. Just like, ooh, very loose. I do not like loose steering. So not a fan of the touring steering, but the ride is very comfortable. The engine, the acceleration and shift points are kind of muted, and the exhaust is muted too. When I first started this car up and started driving it, I thought, wow, like this thing is like a Cadillac. So quiet and so smooth. Little did I realize it's because it's in touring mode, which is the most toned down of all of the modes by far. So we'll get into the other modes later. Those are lots more fun. In fact, let's put it in track mode now. So that you have this beautiful Z button over here. You press Z. I don't know if you can hear that, but instantly, boom, the exhaust opens up. The rev match downshifts begin. It's awesome. So I like to drive in Z when I'm doing back roads driving, like we're about to do. Beautiful exhaust note in track mode. It hangs the revs, doesn't just upshift, which is awesome. So let's throw this thing into a couple turns here and see how it feels. I love the track mode. The steering is so heavy. It's wonderful. It feels artificial, but at least it's nice and heavy. So here we go. 35 mile an hour turn, doing about 55. I mean, this couldn't be easier. This may be the most balanced, best handling car I've ever driven. Maybe. I've driven McLarens and things that I think are right up there, but this car is impressive. It's got some cons, got some pros, but impressive in general. One thing that's excellent on this car, so this is the 1LT version, pretty much the base car, but it has the Z51 package, which has a limited slip differential. It's got summer tires. It's got several things, but probably one of the best things is it was bundled with magnetic ride suspension. That is absolutely incredible. Whether you're in touring mode or track mode or sport mode, this car is possibly the best combination of sharp handling and cushy ride. I mean, this car in touring mode on the highway is so comfortable, shockingly so. So I definitely in my life have ragged on General Motors, the quality of products they put out, but you cannot deny the quality of the engineers they have. Magnetic ride is but one of many innovations. This whole car is a marvel, I think, but magnetic ride is absolutely fantastic. If you want a sharp handling car for back roads and the track, but something that handles comfortably, which is very hard to find in my opinion, this is it. Get the magnetic ride suspension. You will not regret it. Alright, let's go back into track mode, which I can just access pressing the Z button here. So let's hit some kind of tight back road turns. Now this car weighs 3,700 pounds. That kind of blew me away when I read that and looked that up, but it does not drive like it. The mid-engine really balances the car and spreads the weight out beautifully. This does not feel, this feels like it's maybe 3,300 or 3,400 pounds. It does not feel like a 3,700 pound car. Very agile, so, you know, the steering in track mode, even in sport mode, it's very tight, beautiful, but it's very precise. Like, you move the steering wheel an inch and it goes somewhere. Very precise steering. And the handling is just sensational. The grip is insane. No body roll. This thing is flat as a pancake in corners. And the grip is just fantastic. Again, like that mid-engine really just keeps the car beautifully balanced. It's got, you know, a low polar moment of inertia. It turns in instantly, changes direction instantly. You don't really feel any weight transfer. The car is just beautifully well balanced. It's amazing. One of the reasons I've never been a Corvette guy is the old ones have all the weight up front. They just have this massive nose, this massive heavy lump of engine up there, and it's just too easy to get the car unsettled and swing the back out. And this car is not like that. I mean, look at this thing. We're on, woof, man. We just took a 25-mile-an-hour turn doing like 52. I mean, you don't even sweat it in this car. Confidence for miles driving this car. It's all about confidence. And you notice too, if you can see up front, the older Vets just have this long hood because they got that long engine out there. This doesn't have that. You still got the familiar fenders on each side, which are awesome and in view of the driver. What you don't have is the hood going way out. The middle part kind of slopes way down, like a middle part slopes way down. It's beautiful. The visibility is excellent in this car. Excellent. So now we're going to hit a pretty technical section with really fast, really tight turns. It's just constant switchbacks. Very serpentine road. Not a place you'd usually think a 3,700 pound car is comfortable, but I think this car is going to do well. Yeah, I mean, the car just dances. It just dances to these turns. It's hard to get the sensation of speed on camera, but we're going at a pretty good clip here, and the car just dances beautifully. Oh my gosh. So, flat cornering, perfect turn in, steering is accurate and tight, and the handling is great. I mean, when you're mid-curve and the weight is there, trying to push you off the side of the road, you feel it a little bit, but you also feel how balanced this car is. I mean, this car is just sensational. You catch up to people really quickly in this car, obviously, especially in the track mode, so now I gotta back off a little bit. Let's talk about that dual clutch transmission. So obviously this car has many firsts that are pretty incredible. One of them is the Corvette first dual clutch transmission, 8-speed dual clutch transmission. So how is it, right? Every car has a dual clutch transmission these days, especially exotic cars. How is this one by comparison? Well, let's see. I think it's actually really good, especially in track mode. It's a little bit jerky in touring mode and track mode, a little bit jerky. I've heard comparisons to Porsche's PDK saying, oh man, this is just as good. I don't think so. PDK is absolutely fantastic. I think this is good, but I think PDK is definitely a notch up and it's a little bit quicker and I think a lot smoother, in my opinion. Having said that, this is great and as good as a lot of the dual clutches out there, in my opinion. Just give it a little gas. So it takes a minute to kick down. It's not instant. That's a situation like on a downshift where I think PDK just does a better job, but it's really pretty good. I don't have too many complaints there. You want PDK on a 911, you're gonna pay way more than this car. So it's a question of value for dollar. I think for what this car costs, the transmission is very good, quite good. So there is a manual mode. We'll put it in track and then throw it over in manual. Press the M button here. You can use the paddles anytime, but yeah, in manual mode, I think it's very good. The shifter paddles feel nice. They're metal. They feel cold. I love that. In manual mode, yeah, this thing is pretty snappy in manual mode. In automatic mode, depending, when the car's in fully automatic mode, oh yeah, the downshift is just right there, man. Woo! Right there. Love it. Right there. Yeah. Again, I feel like PDK is just a bit quicker, but this is really close, and it's pretty smooth in manual mode. lot of cars, it's just all a lot snappier. Oh yeah, look at that. Whoa, got the engine braking there. Woo. Whoa, what was that? Yeah. Manual mode is excellent in this car. I think the dual clutch transmission in general, very excellent. Alright, let's test the brakes again. Let's just come to stop. Whoa! Just scrubbed off about 20-30 miles an hour. Really nice. Just a beautiful car. So right now we're doing about 55 miles an hour, backcountry road in touring mode. This thing rides like a Cadillac. Quiet, smooth, soft. Engine note is muted. Exhaust is really quiet. Just track straight. It's peaceful. This is a peaceful car to drive on a back road at a normal speed. That's probably why a lot of older guys buy these to drive on Sundays, which is what I'm doing right now. But let's turn down the street with a little bit less cars and put Z mode on, track mode. Oh yeah. Love the rev match downshifts. Beautiful thing. Alright, here we go. Let's give her a little gas. Whew. Wow. Wow. Hold to the revs there in case you're on track. Alright, let's hit it again, mid-range. Man, speed comes on quick. Very, very, very quick. Wow. That is quick. That is quick. And you know, as you're just hurtling down the road at insane speeds, the power comes on fast, but the car never feels unsettled. There's no backwards motion, or the tail isn't slipping at all. It just goes bang straight. The front end doesn't lift, right? There's no heavy engine up there anymore. Some rear engine cars, you hit it. Like I had a 911 turbo last week, and the front end just goes up, right? You can feel that, hey, there's not a lot of weight up there. Not in this car. This car is very composed when you're on it. Very composed. So I'm very impressed by that. So let's do a U-turn here. I must say the turning circle is not that great. It's okay, but it's not as good as I expected for a car with no engine up there. So I don't know all the reasons for that. I'm not going to even look into it. So this is a non-launch control start here. Just we're in track mode. Let's do a non-launch control start and see how we do. Back end got a little squirrely, a little bit of slip, but if you just keep it down, but if you just hold steady, it just falls into line and then boom, it's gone. So let's talk for a minute about the interior. So it's a bit of a funky interior. I'm getting used to it, but at first it just felt very weird and foreign. The seats are nice, but boy, they've got a lot of the kind of contour. They're like an S. And the part below your legs is very elevated. Yes, you can adjust it, but there's still this like S curve that goes high up and down and then up for your back. You feel like you're kind of, I don't know, it's like a hand holding you. I think it's a good thing in general, but it's just it's different. I rented a 911 turbo last weekend. The seats are just kind of flat. It's like a bottom piece and a straight back piece. This has a major S curve in it, which is, you know, good generally. Great leg support, great. I tend to, in cars, elevate the thigh portion back, and I love thigh support. This has that already kind of built in. It's good. Steering wheel, kind of a square. I think it's fine. A lot of people, I heard people complain about it. In reality, what I like about it is if you drive properly, 10 and 2, you've got this angle here, something to grab onto, right? With a circular wheel, it's easy to just have your hand slip. This, for some reason, with a square design, it's just easier to hold here and not let go. So if your hands are right here on the corners, I think it feels right. Having said that, the design is weird. You have this like kind of, you know, noticeable bump here. It kind of pushes into your palms. It makes my hands a little numb after like an hour, but I'm sure I would get used to it. So I wouldn't choose a square steering wheel. I'd probably have a circular one. I'd rather have a circular one, but you know, I think the square one works pretty well. You know, the interior is it's a Chevy, right? It's a bit on the cheap side. I like it in general. It's the best Vette yet by far. You got this nice large display here, a great gauge cluster, all digital, of course. The carbon fiber here and here, it looks fake to me. I can't imagine it's real. It doesn't look real. I would prefer like piano black if it were my car, but it looks okay. The dash here is nice. I like this. What I don't like are these weird design lines that carry up from the doors. See how they kind of swoop and go up to the dash here, and even the speakers are integrated in there. You can kind of, as you can see here, like you can kind of pull it with your hand and move it up and down. It just feels like cheap plastic to me. And then probably the biggest thing you'll notice is that the driver is sectioned off here. I mean, this is very driver focused. I'm in like my own pod here. There's this wall and there's a zillion buttons down here, which I don't mind that. Chevy has definitely not said, hey, let's just go all touchscreen. There's buttons galore over here, but essential buttons. So I actually don't mind this. The buttons are cheap. They feel like they're in any old Chevy, I think. But the most interesting thing is this wall. Like, look at this thing here. You're basically sectioned off. I was a passenger yesterday with a friend of mine, and you feel isolated over here. And in fact, it's hard as a passenger to rest your arm here because it goes up on this thing. So the driver can do this. The passenger, it's like you got half the armrest, and then this thing is there. You got to kind of twist your arm. It's not the best car to be a passenger in, although the ride was very comfortable from the passenger seat, but this wall situation, it's like walling the driver off, it's a bit weird. There's also this, you probably can't see it on the camera here, but there is a dial to turn the modes over here. It feels very high quality, like metal, but it's really high effort. You really have to push it left and right hard to get it to change the modes. I don't know why they don't just do a button. Why have this giant dial here? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, so the nicest Vette yet, I think, by a mile. You know, it's not a McLaren, it's not a Porsche, right? It's not levels of European competitors quality, but for a Chevy, I think it's pretty good. There's still a lot of tacky bits. You can see here, the walled section here, they insist on tapering it off instead of just ending it. So it keeps going up here, over here, to the middle of the dash. This serves like no purpose. This is a like flappy piece of dash, you know, rubber and plastic here. It serves no real purpose other than to kind of complete the design. So again, not a fan of this stuff. I wish they would just take these swoopy continuations, this one and this one, just get that out of there. But I realize it kind of ties the design in and sees it to completion. So anyway, not the biggest, not a big deal, but you know, the interior is decent for the price point. I think the interior is quite good. Obviously, compared to rivals, while this car competes on performance, the interior quality is many levels below competitors. But you'd expect that. It's a Chevy and it's a low price car, right? The visibility in this car is pretty atrocious. I've driven all manner of exotic cars. This is one of the worst. The mid-engine back there obviously inhibits the ability to have a full rear window, but this one is really tight. The C-pillars, I guess, yeah, the C-pillars, which I guess is really like a B and C-pillar combined, are just massive. You've got a 4-foot pillar blocking your blind spot. It's the worst blind spots I've ever seen, probably in any car. Maybe an old Countach is worse. Definitely a Countach is worse, but this isn't good. Driving at night on the freeways, especially trying to change lanes gingerly, I just didn't feel confident because I just can't see anything. And the 1LT doesn't have blind spot monitoring and all the safety stuff, you know, rear view camera, rear view mirror camera, and blind spot warnings and stuff. The 1LT doesn't have that. So that's a downside, is the visibility is bad and there's no real safety sensors or cameras additionally to help the visibility be better. That's a huge drawback. Pinned to your seat, but the car is composed. In addition, aside from some initial wheel spin, aside from a little bit of initial wheel spin, this car just rockets off the line, and you can pull as long as you want to. It just tracks straight. There's no lift. The car feels very planted. This is just a wonderful, wonderful machine. It really is. My hat's off to Chevy for doing, my hat's off to General Motors and Chevy for doing a really commendable job with this car. The car really has power everywhere, so I'm doing, yeah, about 50 right now. I'll just hit it. Whew. Beautiful. You know, it's fast, but it feels pretty secure as well. And again, here we are, back to cruising on this road. I mean, so comfortable, so quiet, so supple. So I have to say, in terms of like noise, when you're driving along, there's a lot of noise coming from the front. It seems like tire noise to me. It's just like this kind of like hissing and kind of, you know, just, it's not really a drone from the tires. Maybe not really a droning noise. It's more just like, it sounds almost like wind noise, but I think it's the front tire. So I don't think that's out of the ordinary for a car like this. You also hear the direct injection, what I think is a direct injection, unless there's lifters in the engine making this noise, but you do hear a pronounced ticking coming from the engine in the back. But again, most new engines are direct injected, and you'd probably notice that too with your ear to it. Most cars are front engine, you don't hear it. But so those are two observations. As the car is generally pretty quiet, there is some general just road noise and tire noise coming through the windows. The front end especially has this like, I don't know, hushed noise, has this like persistent noise. And then the rear ticking, but again, compared to Vets of old, my gosh, what a monumental improvement this car is. Incredible. So I just put it in sport mode. Sport mode is about in between touring and track, I think. Here's the handling. See how, I mean, look at how straight the car tracks. The car just tracks beautifully when you're kind of pointing and shooting it. Responds really well. I think sport mode is a good compromise of steering. It's not overly heavy, and you can see it's really responsive. There's maybe a little, you can see here, there's a little bit of a on-center dead spot. Every car seems to have that. I hate that, but it seems to be like an electric steering thing. Yeah, I think the steering and handling in sport, obviously, the handling's going to be about the same, but I think the steering and handling in sport is still pretty good, but can't beat track mode. Let's do a launch in touring mode and see what the difference is in terms of noise and intensity. Whew. Feels every bit as fast, I think. You'll notice in touring mode, when you let off the gas, it just shifts up right away. Track mode kind of hangs there for a while, but the launch felt very similar, maybe a little bit slower. Still got a little bit of wheel spin, but it picked up so quickly. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, I'd appreciate a like. Always love to read comments, and of course subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.